Hallo und herzlich willkommen zu einer weiteren Folge Chaos at Nur. Wir stehen ja gerade Genichi gegenüber, nachdem wir uns ein bisschen mit Zeratan-Figuren geprügelt haben, und er hat seine Gründe erklärt, warum er Noah 2 einsetzen möchte, und darauf reagieren wir jetzt. Also es kann sein, dass das die letzte Folge sein wird, es kann sein, dass das die vorletzte Folge sein wird. Ich glaube, 3 Folgen werde ich dann nicht mal rausbekommen, um ehrlich zu sein. Dafür vermute ich einfach mal, sind wir zu weit jetzt schon in der Story. Also ich tippe maximal 2 Folgen, mit der hier eingerechnet werden es noch. Das ist jetzt einfach mal so eine Vermutung. Aus meiner Erfahrung, weil ich halt auch den Anime kenne.
正しいかもしれない。
I hadn't really been paying much attention, but in regards to the future of humanity, he was definitely right. His ideals were entirely righteous. He was the president of a sprawling corporation, and his eye was aimed solely on justice for the whole of mankind. Me, meanwhile, I was a monster, a virgin, an otaku freak, a selfish, ego-driven wannabe who just wanted to save some girl he liked and didn't give a shit about anyone else. Normally, that would make me the bad guy, through and through. The monster would then be slain, and justice would prevail.
でも、僕はあんたには負けられない。
なぜ否定するのです？
ただの自己満足だ。
残念です。
His gaze locked onto me. Nurse grabbed me by the collar and threw her off the art piece. His right hand then stretched out in front of it. And in that ephemeral moment, the one standing art piece found itself in Norris's hand. It was no mere art piece, nor was it a cross that existed for crucifixion. Boah, das sieht schon echt sick und irgendwie sehr böse aus. It was a D-sword. It was far too monstrous to be called a sword. Savagery. Galidity. That which sowed terror. A contaminated gospel. Chaos, though thoroughly complexified. A blasphemy with which to desecrate. The purest of evils. Akin to the very gates of hell themselves. The hearts of those who gazed upon it would be wrenched away, luring them into an eternal aeon of strife. All that was negative in this world converged into one, embodying in its very shape. I gulped back at all the salvia that had built up in my throat. Despite everything, I made up my mind. I fixed my grip on my D-sword, which was still bound to my hand with the cord, and then I took a single step toward Noah 2. Or more accurately speaking, I began to close the distance between Norris and myself. Speaking of distance, he had an overwhelming advantage in range over me.
剣で切り合うような野蛮な行為はあまり得意ではないのですよね。しかし、君からコードサンプルを手に入れる必要があります。そのために無力化しなければ。
Towering over me with one hand, Norris swung a D-sword even bigger than he was. The strike was so heavy it felt as if it could have pulverized any known object out there. My arm was slow to respond, even moving it slightly made pain explode through it. Even still, I forced it to do so and raised my arm. I caught the blow with my D-sword. An enormous sword would have been split right in two, and that wasn't even accounting for how unbelievably thin my sword was. It couldn't have been more different from Norris's. And yet my D-sword didn't break. Somehow it managed to parry Norris's first strike. My hand went up, with my left hand pulverized. My balance on that side was non-existent. The stance I had been holding collapsed. By the looks of it, he was about to send me flying. I just had to endure it. I connected with Norris's second blow. His recovery between strikes was way too fast. Don't be misled by how the sword looks. That was what I told myself. Mislead. Is that okay? It was a battle of strength between a sword that was far too thin and delicate and a sword that was far too colossal and ferocious. Somehow I was holding him out with it, for at least for the moment. Ah, was für ein geiles Bild. 4 times now, 4 times that our blades crossed. But this time the position of Norris's hand began to change. It looked like he was clutching the guard of the sword now. And then his sword began to writhe, letting out an eerie noise. Its malleable mechanism groaned. The blade's edge then split into an opening into a pair of scissors that was then thrust toward my chest. That iteration, right then I came to realize it would mean the end of me. I countered, swinging my sword down in front of me, but I was too late. Its forked point sank straight into my chest. A callous smile formed on Norris's lips. He loosened his grasp around on the guard, and then colossal scissors snapped shut. My chest, my ribs, and my lungs were all devoured. I desperately stumbled back. And right when I did that, Norris swept his arm straight across. My own fresh blood danced before my eyes. Pain spiked throughout my entire body. Even though my senses were supposed to have been numbed, I was on the verge of screaming out with whatever remained on my lungs. But even so, I clenched my teeth and endured it. My chest had been thoroughly minced. If not for stepping back when I did, he would have hit my heart. Massive quantities of blood continued to spray out. I nearly toppled over, but I caught myself at the last second. I can't die here. I didn't come this far just to die. I ignored Norris. Instead of him, I approached Nora 2 and Dreamy, the latter of which was collapsed on the ground. It took every fiber of my being, but I did it all the same. Raising her head from the ground, Dreamy looked in my direction. She was likely exhausted. There was no way her body had any strength left. As fatigue, or maybe just my injuries, continued to wear me down, my vision grew blurrier. I wasn't sure what sort of face Rumi was making as she looked at me. I didn't meet her gaze. I couldn't bear for her to see me like this, bloody and beaten to a pulp. That was the sole minuscule bit of pride I had left. Even on my deathbed, that was where I drew the line. I advanced toward Noah 2. My sword was already within range. Oddly enough, Norris stayed behind me, ignoring that I was leaving him behind. All of a sudden, a cheery melody began to ring through the dome. You may pass. Noah 2 towered over me. The sound emanating from it became even more shrill. Deep within all its majesty, I sensed something incredibly strange and enigmatic moving around. For a split second I flinched, albeit slowly I managed to take a stand with the blade at my hip. I aimed toward Noah 2's nearly organic-looking, tube-covered exterior, and bulldozed it with my D-sword. That was when I noticed, at some point or another, Noah 2 had vanished from my sight, and now somehow I was standing with my back to it. I knew for a fact that I had just been trying to destroy it. There wasn't a single damn reason for me to have turned around. And yet, that was the direction I was facing. In the very center of my blade was Nurse was the one standing there, not Noah 2. I turned myself around, seeing my D-sword at it for the second time. Alter, das sound nervt. Except even though I had fully intended to turn around, I hadn't. Kann ich zufällig Config so, ein bisschen leiser mal. Schon besser. Even though I had fully intended to turn around, I hadn't. I had the will to turn myself around. Ich hätte glaube ich den Sound früher schon mal runterstellen sollen. And I'd even made the motion to do so. And yet the end result was one where I hadn't actually turned around. I was hit with the wave of utter confusion.
ノア2の自己防衛機能とでも言うべきものです。
Noise's quiet voice resounded from within the dome, pooling and mixing together with the melody of You May Pass.
近づく者の心に干渉し、意志を歪ませる。ノア2には誰も近寄れません。私以外。
When he finished speaking, he leisurely walked closer to me. Then, as if it was the easiest thing in the world, he raised a colossal D-sword above his head. I clenched my teeth. I had lost a lot of blood. I couldn't think clearly. Even though I didn't have the slightest bit of sensation in my right hand, I shoved the pain and the fact I couldn't move it properly aside and lifted it up in a desperate attempt to deflect the next blow. And then the D-sword that had somehow still remained attached to my hand within the cord was sent flying by a staggering impact. It tumbled across the floor, far, far away from me. It was astonishing seeing it off. Fixing my gaze back in front of me, I was met with Norris's sneering figure. And then, as if in warning, as if to urge my mind forward, the melody changed.
君の存在を否定してあげましょう。
Norris's stance told me he was already prepared to strike again. He was about to bring that sword crashing down on me. It was all too overwhelming, all too devastating, all too brutal. That was his D-sword. And it was coming down on me, while I was completely unarmed. I had no way of stopping his strike. I was a sitting duck. Remy forced her way between Norris and me. Her soft touch enveloped my face. I felt Remy's chest. She had wrapped her arms around me almost like a tender embrace. She was protecting me from Norris. Norris sighed quietly, lowering her sword. Remy had saved me once again, even though I had told her I was here to save her. How fucking pathetic was it? Hit with a wave of intense frustration, I slithered my right hand onto her body and thrusted it inside her blouse. I felt the sensation of the coarse warm underwear lying atop her skin. Then I felt the pain of the gashes in my chest, then the pain of my amputated left hand, the pain of my dislocated right arm, then the pain of my dysfunctional lungs as I struggled to breathe. But the warmth I felt now, surely it could heal all of it. Remy's underwear, Remy's bare skin. I tore off the buttons on her blouse. I ripped away the clothing that was keeping her body hidden away from me. I exposed her bra. I grabbed her tightly, right through her bra, reaching her ample breast. With my blood-smeared right hand, I squeezed her. I rubbed her body with my blood, her bra, her bare skin. I felt its elasticity, such soft, tender skin. Remy writhed around in an attempt to escape. I grabbed her tightly and didn't let go. I plunged my face into her breasts. Her skin was so velvety, so comfortable, it was as if it was drawing me in. And then, with my hand, I began to grope beneath her skirt. With a gasp, I got off her. When I realized what I had been trying to do, I was genuinely shocked. Even though I had gotten off of her, Remy tightly clutched her chest and continued to sob sadly. But she had been protecting me. Why had I done that? Why had I done that? Especially at a time like this. Why was I the one making Remy cry?
本当は先畑レミを犯したいんでしょ。
My own voice echoed within my mind. Shocked, I swallowed back my saliva. What was so shocking to me? The fact that he was right. Because he had seen through me. But who was he to begin with? It was my own voice, my inner voice, my true nature.
ここで物にしておかないと将軍に寝取られちゃうよ。あんなしわくちゃ野郎にリニアやられちゃうんだよ。寝取られるなんて嫌じゃねえ。まあもうすでにやられちゃってる可能性もあるけどさ。
My true nature continued whispering to me, "Stop it. Stop saying this shit. I don't believe a single word you are saying." I couldn't cover my ears even if I wanted to, considering my lack of a left hand. Remy was just lying there sobbing, unable to fix her messy clothes. Just seeing her face like that shattered my heart.
片思いでいいとか綺麗事言ってないでさ。犯しちゃえって。ノロセはそれをする時間ぐらい待ってくれるってよ。どうせ僕はもうすぐ死ぬんだ。恨まれたってへでもないって。やりたいことやって死のうよ。僕のこのかわいそうな境遇ならここでちょっとひどいことやったってしょうがなかったで許されるよ。
It was just a delusion, something that was a bad habit of mine. Things could take a turn for the worse if I didn't stop listening. The current would drag me away. My weak-minded nature was luring me to the path of least resistance, toward a really bad path, but I couldn't let it drag me away, not now.
それにリニは僕に同情してくれてた。それならむしろやらしてくれるべきだ。犯せよ。死ぬ前に童貞捨てようよ。ダメだ!
I screamed, to shatter my weak mind, to blow it straight to hell. Luckily, it seemed to have worked. Remy had even stopped crying. She lowered her hands, covering her face, and then she glared at me with ice-cold eyes.
つまんない男。
Those few words were all it took for my mind to be swallowed by a cascade of dark emotions. And as I swung myself at Remy, with staying force, an enormous stake burst straight up from the concrete floor. The sharp edge of the stake pierced straight into my crotch. I couldn't comprehend what was going on. My legs were floating in the air. Even if I wanted to run away, I couldn't. The stake gradually tore its way farther and farther into my body. It was excruciatingly painful, but not enough to kill me. The stake continued to grow, lifting me a whole meter into the air. Any form of movement sent a jolt of pain through my groin. I was completely unable to move. Someone, save me. I cast my pleading eyes down toward Remy. But without even looking at me, she walked straight to Nora's side. Then, as if exhausted of all strength, she crouched to the ground. But Nora and Remy simply stared at me, at the most mortifying display. Neither of them had any form of expression as they watched. Neither of them had any interest in saving me.
知っていますか？かつて拷問刑として串刺しは世界中のあちこちで用いられていました。この拷問の特徴は死ぬまで3日ほどかかるということです。自らの体重によって徐々にその杭は体に食い込んでいく。ポイントは杭の先端はそれほど尖らせないことです。それにより臓器を傷つけることがなくなり、死ぬまでの期間が延びるわけです。最終的に杭の先端が口や肩から突き破れば処刑は終了。見守っていてあげますよ。3日間あなたが死ぬまで。彼女も同じ考えのようですし。
Remy nodded in response to this words.
もっともその前に胸や腕の傷のせいで失血死に至る方が早いかもしれませんが。
It's a delusion, a delusional attack. That was what I told myself. In reality, I wasn't really impaled. I was still just standing in front of Noah too. I was only hallucinating. I believed that to be true. I had to believe it. 3 days. 72 hours. 4,320 minutes. 259,200 seconds. If I can endure it for that long, the delusion will end. It has to. If I just sleep for a bit or pass out, it will go by a lot quicker. Those were my thoughts. But I couldn't do either of those things. The pain wouldn't let me. And that was exactly what made this shots pure, unrelenting torture. I was gonna go insane if this went on. Even though only a moment ago I had been thinking about trying to endure it. I had spiraled straight into despair. Considering the extreme amount of time left before my death, despair was the sole emotion that hadn't drained directly out of me. Just kill me already. How much time had passed? I didn't see a clock, so I had no clue. I wanted to see a clock, but I knew that if I did see one, the hands sluggishly ticking by would probably shatter my spirit completely. I clenched my teeth. Sweat was oozing off my body in droves. Thanks to that, my throat had gone dry. I moistened it by swallowing the blood that was trickling in. Inside my body, I could feel the stake continuously shoving aside my internal organs as it wedged itself even deeper into me. I could feel it very clearly, like a countdown to my inevitable death. Soon enough, it arrived at my minced chest. After that, it pierced through my throat. It skewered me straight through the mouth. The pain and shock was pushing my sanity to its limits. The pain kept me in a 5-minute cycle of passing out, waking up, then passing back out again. I came to understand something. Every time I fainted, my body would go limp, and the stake dug into me even faster. Naturally, the pain grew to incomparable levels when that happened. Then it would wake me back up. Unable to remove, my body would writhe in torment. Then I would pass out again to escape the pain, and the gruesome cycle repeated itself. Even when I was conscious, I was entirely in a daze. It seemed the pain had somehow faded a little too. My vision had gone dim. Was it nighttime? Not that it mattered, considering the lack of windows in the dome. I suppose it was probably because of how much blood I'd lost. Blood trickled from my chest and arms, albeit not a whole lot. If it kept dripping out, maybe I could die peacefully from that instead of being impaled. Realizing that, I attempted to swing around my left arm, hardly any of which remained below to elbow. But it didn't even twitch. No doubt my nerves were already dead. What the fuck? Was it really a delusion? When was it going to end? Would it ever actually end? What had made me believe it was a delusion to begin with? How could I know it was a delusion? What if it was all reality? If I endured it, I would just die anyway. And doing it didn't mean a shit. But I wasn't doing it anyway. That was stupid. Only a dumbass would do that. I was an idiot. Die. Not the haha kiss kind. No, actually fucking die. I should die right now. I was sick of all the pain. I was sick of all the suffering. Bite your tongue off. Do that and you will be at peace soon after. Just let me out of here. This was all a delusion, right?
死ぬ死ぬ死ぬ死ぬ死ぬ死ぬ痛い死ぬ死ぬ死ぬ死ぬ死ぬ死ぬ死ぬ痛い死ぬ死ぬ
My chest continued to hemorrhage. I couldn't breathe. No matter how much oxygen I tried to suck in, my throat would only make a stupid wheezing sound. I looked down only to be met with the stake peeking through the holes in my chest. Striking for oxygen as my mouth flapped open and shut, I violently vomited out blood. The fact I was about to die brought me peace of mind.
そろそろですね。
It was Nurse's voice. The bastard was right in front of me. But I couldn't see him. In fact, I couldn't see a thing. Being impaled had left me in so much agony for so long that I had completely forgotten about both him and Remy. I couldn't help but wonder if Remy was still close by, though it didn't really matter. I was too occupied with trying to breathe. For a good while now, I'd been dedicating my every nerve and every last ounce of strength toward just doing that.
君が無事死ぬ前に彼女を始末しておきましょう。
I wasn't exactly sure what he was talking about, nor did I have the chance to think about it.
私を殺すの？
へえ、そういうことです。遺言をどうぞ。
ごめん、タク。タクのこと助けてあげられなかった。
Und ich würde sagen, an dem Punkt beende ich diese Folge. Ich denke, dass ich da noch eine Folge schaffe. Auch wenn die vielleicht etwas kürzer ist, aber eine Folge schaffe ich dann noch. Das ist auch gut für meine Vorproduktion, wenn ich noch ein bisschen mehr raushole. Vielen Dank fürs Zuschauen und bis zum nächsten Mal. Ciao.